one in English, by the way.
Yes, please.
Okay, that's okay.
I do feel appropriately addressed for this scenario. I need my sunglasses, my sandals.
Be careful for...
Yeah.
All right, good gentlemen. Welcome.
I can definitely say that this is a first.
All right, hey.
But a good first, don't you think?
Not a good first. Hey, so everybody here, you know me. You know Doug already because he opened the stage.
Yeah.
Maybe before we start, this is a speed date. So speed dates alike. Short intro, Dion.
No problem. So I'm Dion Barnard. I'm the general manager for the Viva Select Benelux business. And as you can hear, I have a funny accent because I come from South Africa. And have the privilege to run the business for the last 2 years. But I've been in the Viva Wonderware Inventors community for nearly 30 years now. And I have two passions. One is UNS, other one is MES.
And my name's Benjamin, and I mostly spend my time implementing those MES systems.
The stuff that we sell, he makes happen.
Hey, we have the one who makes some fancy slides, we have the technology vendor, we have the distributor, and we have the implementator. Yeah. So this has to become a good conversation. So Benjamin, if you don't mind, I'd like to start with you. Just with your experience as an implementer, how have you seen changing customer demands regarding MES, regarding data over the last years? What remains the same? What is still the same thing we've been talking about them for many, many years, but what is also drastically changed?
Yeah. My personal opinion is that customer demands haven't changed so much, not as to the content, the level as to which that they're being applied, and the number of people involved across an organization, that has changed tremendously.
Yeah.
It's the access to data, the fluidity, the speed, especially the speed with which it all needs to go, that has changed.
We're getting this sea breeze here.
Yeah, Benjamin sits in the wind tunnel.
It's a very nice wind tunnel, though.
Yes.
Okay. It is refreshing.
Yeah. So, in case it wasn't clear, sorry.
Some micro adjustments.
Thank you. The question was, in my mind, have customer demands changed? Not so much, but the level that they're at and the amount of people wanting access to that information, that has changed tremendously.
Is that because people are used to getting more data on their smartphone? Is it because operators need more data in their day-to-day job? Or is it maybe because you also see other personas popping up needing that data?
I think everything you just said.
Yeah.
And the fact that there's a pocket computer in your pants that is more powerful than what we use to land on the moon, I think it definitely has something to do with it. Yeah.
Doug, in your presentation, you said, or you asked the question, what will be our role in the next so many years? When you said our, did you mean from a technology perspective or from a user perspective, or both?
I was talking more from a user perspective and how they do work, and then also from a system integrator perspective in how they engineer and deliver the systems based on different technologies. So it was really SI and end user.
So let's start with the end user. How do you see these different, I would say, all the different personas Benjamin talked about, how do you see their job evolving?
Right, so from an end user perspective, first of all, the first persona that I'll talk about is that person on the shop floor. So in 5 years, will we have the same number of people on the plant floor as we have today? I think a lot of the very repetitive tasks, things that are easier to automate, that kind of thing, that will definitely go away. Just like Michael was talking about a customer who's moving towards lights out manufacturing, I think we're going to see more and more of that as the technology becomes proven and our trust of that technology, which takes time, as that evolves. So that's at the plant floor level. As we move up through the stack, I think the number of technical people that we have in a given plant to help keep it running, it may be reduced a little bit as well. And those resources are very difficult to find. But clearly, the technologies that we see today can be leveraged to remotely have those experts help those resources that are in the individual plants execute whatever maintenance tasks or tasks they need to get things back online or whatever. So we see a centralization of expertise, subject matter experts, that can then be leveraged across many different plants, especially in environments where plants are in less than desirable places to work. So to have those very precious, very rare, very talented subject matter experts in a place where they want to live, so they can be leveraged across a broader geography, I think that layer is going to change dramatically as well. As we go further up the stack, we start to get more towards more the business end of things, less technical, more business. And I think the demands of that layer, that persona, are increasing rapidly as far as what data that they want. They want a single version of the truth. They can't have 16 plants and 16 different versions of OEE. So their demands, their requirements are heading up all the time. And it's up to us and our system integration partners to try to satisfy that, break down the silos that they want to see broken down in both operationally and in terms of those data flows, and deliver to them as flexible an environment at the lowest total cost of ownership as possible. And that might mean using tools like Crosser talked about, that are low code, that I don't have to submit a ticket to see a new chart and maybe it show up in 3 weeks.
And that's really important. This already resembles, I would say, the typical conversation I would have on a tropical island.
Yeah, no, definitely. With my wife next to me.
This happens all the time.
All the time. No, but it's also what we show with the green and the red curve. It's you need to be on that green curve. Yeah. I'm also going to talk about that other passion of mine, UNS. Making that bridge a bit to you, Dion. One of my colleagues asked me a very interesting question. Eric said to me, he said, David, so we've been talking about UNS to build contextualized integration somehow. You've shown this AI demo where you help using AI models, you help mapping properties, you help map asset models, etc. Actually, in one of the podcasts I did last year, somebody used the term "automate the automation engineer," which is like super critical. We want our job to change as well. It should also become more easy. Now, if I have those AI models, do I still need a UNS? Or is my UNS just that AI model Doug showed?
I think the UNS thing is overhyped, and we're now moving to the end of the hype cycle where people say, what is the value I get out of this? And you need a UNS to structure and orchestrate data. And to run an AI model, you need orchestrated and structured data. So UNS for me is an enabler to that. But a lot of people are deploying UNS for the sake of deploying it without understanding what is my use case. And I see more and more of those conversations. People say, what is the problem I'm trying to solve versus I'm trying to build a UNS? And the problem we're trying to solve is to get data to the right people, to move from running a plant to managing a plant. And that's the way I see it.
Chicken and the egg story.
Yes, the chicken egg. But you have to start somewhere. And I think the UNS is an enabler. And we need to focus on the enable part rather than which technology I need to use to deploy my UNS. And because that's the questions we get. Every RFP we see, every customer engagement, they have a story around UNS. And that they all try to link it to technology, but we need to link it to what is the problem we're trying to solve.
It's almost a technology first problem at this point in time.
But that's always how things work. We bring out the technology, we go through the hype cycle, and then people start adopting in the use case that comes. So I think we're now entering into that use case world where people are starting to say, okay, UNS, yes, I need one, I need an MQT broker, all of that, but what is the problem I'm solving?
Is it also what you're saying, Benjamin? Do you get these requests?
We get them. We've gotten them since years. I think different versions of it have existed.
Yes, exactly.
Everybody calls it something different.
I used to think system platform was going to go with that, but I think now, from a broader perspective, with IT also on board and bridging that gap between IT and OT, that's getting a namespace for its own, UNS, no pun intended. But you said something earlier on that. You said how popular a data governance officer can be when he shows up and says, I'm going to structure your data. But I do think if you have something in place, you need an owner, you need a ownership.
It's crucial.
And that data governance officer might probably need a lot of people skills, but you need it or it's going down the same drain.
Yeah, and also really be embedded in operations.
Yeah.
Really understand where operations is at. Now, you didn't show it in your presentation, but you did mention that after the Prove It conference, I also talked to John before the Prove It conference. Right. We were actually together at a customer.
Yes.
Where it's actually an interesting story. I'm going to tell you that story.
It's a good story.
It's a good story because so that customer, nothing wrong with Microsoft, but that customer was visited by Microsoft salespeople, and they really convinced them that Fabric is the way to go. Again, well, let's not dive into what Fabric does, can and can't do. So, but the customer they came to us with the simple question: Do we still need Aviva? Because I just got a brilliant pitch from Microsoft, and apparently we can just dump everything in the cloud now. Yeah. Now, we went over there, John was there as well, showed a couple of things he was working on for Prove It. So let's say if we take a look to the cloud versus on-prem, if we take a look to where the UNS question typically comes from, and typically it's a bit a hybrid situation. It's hardly, I would say, a pure OT question. Typically, it's about data integration, making data available into upper system, etc. Could you position a bit more the position of Aviva, where when do on-prem components make sense? When does a Microsoft Cloud somewhere make sense? Where does the power of contextualization lie, etc.?
Okay, I'll try to unpack that a little bit, and we don't have to beat up on Microsoft. I mean, it could be any cloud provider. I would say Aviva and what we've done with our broad portfolio for probably the last 50 years has been focused on industrial applications, industrial data types. We do industry. Some of the more generic cloud providers, they have services, to your point, that can ingest all kinds of data types and all the rest of it, but 9 times out of 10, you'll take that data from its source in its very contextualized form, and in order to ingest it into the cloud, you'll break it up into a bunch of different attributes, only to then have to have your data science team come and put those back together to solve whatever problem you're trying to solve. And it generally causes 2 problems. One is putting that back together the same way as it was originally when it was in the OT layer, very difficult to do. And show of hands, who thinks data science is expensive? It is. So that's one problem. The other one is that data ingestion cost, right?
Yeah.
It could have been a megabyte of data on-prem. By the time it got to the cloud, it would be 10 or 15 meg. And if you multiply that across your whole enterprise, that's expensive to do that.
Yeah.
So when it comes to Aviva, we've been doing this in all our divisions, whether you're HMI SCADA, whether you're Pi user, whatever. We've been doing this for 50 years. We kind of know, how to manage OT data types, time series data, how to fill in blanks, how to help process that data, and that is so near and dear to us. We will never become a generic cloud provider. We link some of the capabilities that we bring, and some of them overlap with the Microsofts of the world, I get it. But we do everything that we do in the context of industry and industrial data types, everything we do. And that, with the level of expertise that it takes, that's how we differentiate. Can you do some of the same things? Yes. Will it cost you more? Definitely. So that's the way I view the world.
I think again, the unified namespace is that we have to understand that every bit of technology or solution you buy has a namespace already inside it.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what UNIS is trying to solve, to say, instead of having all these X-rated spreadsheets that try and align all these data points and what they are named, unified namespace drops in, and you can still continue to run with those solutions independent of changing everybody's namespace. Because at one point when I was a young engineer, we were trying to have a standardized tag naming convention all the way from level 0 to 4. But that is impossible with the amount of volume of data we do.
We've all done that, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know, absolutely. And also because of the amount of integration you have,
Yes.
let alone mergers and acquisitions. Now you've done it for the company you're in right now, and then all of a sudden we acquire another company and we're back to
Yeah,
back
they
to
run
square
SAP,
one.
and these guys run
Yeah.
Oracle, and they run JDE, but they all need to share the data.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, so I'm wondering, I don't know if the catch box is still in the
They
room.
with Eric.
Oh, it's actually
It's already
behind
ready.
me.
Ever
why,
ready.
why don't we open up the floor for some questions from the audience? It's I'm sure there has to be a couple we can answer. So who is going to be the first one?
Who dares?
I knew it would be Eric.
Here we go.
Well, the question I discussed with you came after a bar discussion we had last night with a colleague of mine, Marcel.
A real
Okay.
bar
A
discussion.
real bar discussion.
It had to be a bar discussion.
Well, maybe a bit more beer, but the question, his statement is, UNS is for humans. AI doesn't need it. It knows the data, it can solve the structures, it can make the correlation on the long run.
So,
I don't agree completely with that sentiment.
Yeah.
we do too, but I don't
Yeah.
see it as a problem. I
Yeah.
still think
Who cares?
if it's just AI, it's still going to have to report to us. At least I hope so. So-
Yeah, and also maybe to dig a bit deeper in that, and it's a very nice triggering question. I don't really agree with that because AI still needs structured data, still needs good quality data. Now, whether you use generative AI or agents to help us build those structures, totally different story. But you need the structures anyways, and it's a bit, those structures, they're not just a representation of I would say, the physical structure. They're also a representation of process know-how, about people who really deeply understand how that thing is working, and that's what it should represent. And at that point in time, of course, you can have very clever AI models who make use of that structure, or even augment that structure, obviously. But it's a very nice. That's a very nice bar discussion, actually. Thanks, Eric. Other question. I don't know where the catch box.
Right, yeah.
Eric forgot it.
Yes.
Hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
It's an overall question for the company. How do you convince the company to use UNS? And where to start?
So it actually starts with how do you convince a company on becoming data-driven? Because that's actually the underlying question,
Yes.
I assume. How would you start?
Small steps. I'm also going to talk about this afternoon, and I think more often than not, you also spoke of RFQs that you see that sometimes have 1,000 questions. I think we attack the problems that we see too head-on or too big bangy, like everything needs to be solved at once. We heard the speaker just before us as well. You can do this one step at a time. You don't need to do everything all at once, and let something just prove its value from a small, easy entry point, and then if you're able to scale up quickly, because we take sometimes way too long to implement these complicated projects. Different subject, I know, and something We will speak of more this afternoon, but it just needs to go effortlessly because we don't have the time anymore today. It all needs to go. It already needs to be there today in order for us to profit from it tomorrow. So if you can just start by delivering something and it proves its value, then I think you're in.
Gentlemen, last call. Sorry to interrupt you, Leon. I know this is terrible, but that's what I do.
I really wanted to say something here, but
Let him say something.
Okay, say something.
I just wanted to add to what David said, that customer that we met with John. They also asked the same question, where do we start? And the answer from John Korjuski at the time is, just start. And the starting point was to find a use case that you haven't been able to solve in the past. Try and figure out what is the use case, solve the use case, and then build a UNS after it. Don't go and select the technology that gives you a UNS. Find a problem that you need to solve that requires you to have a UNS infrastructure available to solve that problem. And then you can start. But just start.
And now the last call.
Yeah.
So there
Thank
is
you, Eric.
indeed, this is the last call. So there is room for one more question, if you guys can be short. I know this is
This is
terrible, but
impossible, but we'll try.
any other questions? Oh, over there. Yes, yes, give it a try.
To Jeroen.
You want me to be the in-between? There we go.
Be careful for the whale. Thank
So
you.
everybody looks to me, please.
Great.
Nice.
Is this one working?
Yeah.
Okay. While I'll absolutely agree that having like a central data platform and so on will provide added value, how about looking at it from a cybersecurity perspective, where we have NIS2 coming ahead of us, and we're looking at things like Purdue network segmentation, making sure that things are safe and somewhat isolated. Aren't there any conflicts of interest there from cybersecurity where you want to protect stuff versus opening up everything through integrations and whatnot?
From my perspective, obviously opening everything up is a big no-no. You can't do that, especially in critical infrastructure kind of markets. So I mean, I think there's a number of different means that you can still achieve some amount of cloud connectivity for those kinds of systems, reverse proxies and different things to make sure that what minimum data flows, and you don't want to open it up to everything, but what minimum data flows are necessary and beneficial to the business, you can still do so in a secure way. So I'd say, yes, there are extra things to be aware of, but for certain, there are technologies there that can do that in a very secure way. So again, pick the use case, and with that, then the right cyber solution to satisfy the overall need.
And 0. Nice.
Well done. Guys.